8 million. That's the number we're talking about today.
It's a huge number.
Specifically, 8 million posts on social media in a single 24-hour window. This is January 17th, just a few weeks ago.
I mean, you really only see stats like that for, a global sporting event or some massive political news.
Exactly. So for everyone listening, that's not just a trending topic. That is a full-on cultural earthquake. And the wildest part, it was all for the series finale of a show called Me and T.
It really was a phenomenon, but I think for people who aren't dialed into the Asian entertainment world, seeing that number might be a little confusing.
Right.
Because on the surface, Me and T looks like a pretty standard Thai boys love series, or BL as it's usually called.
Yeah, and we should probably pause there for a sec. For anyone new to this, BL is this massive genre focusing on romantic stories between male characters, mostly coming out of East and Southeast Asia. And it has a huge dedicated global fan base.
A very dedicated fan base. And these shows, they usually follow a pretty specific formula. You've got the handsome, rich lead, and then the more grounded, hardworking guy he falls for. It's comfort food TV.
And Me and T has all that.
It has all the ingredients. But if you look closer, and that's our mission for this deep dive, you realize the show is actually a satire. It's a show about shows.
So it's meta.
Wildly meta, yeah. It's actively taking apart the very genre it belongs to. It's winking at the audience the entire time.
Okay, I love that. I love when a show is smart enough to poke fun at itself. So before we get into the heavy analysis, let's just set the stage. What's the actual setup here?
The premise is intentionally ridiculous. You have the main character, T, who is played by Naravit. T is this eccentric billionaire. He runs a perfume brand called Arseni.
Okay.
But his backstory is that he's a former mafia heir.
Of course he is. Because a regular billionaire just isn't dramatic enough.
It's a classic trope. But here's the twist. He decides he needs to learn how to flirt so he can woo this famous model named Aran. So what does he do? He hires a romance coach.
And let me guess, this is where the real love interest comes in.
Precisely. He hires Peach, played by Phuwin Tangsakyuen. And Peach is a freelance photographer. He's very grounded, very normal. T pays him to teach him the art of seduction. But predictably, while he's learning how to woo the model,
He falls for the coach.
he falls for the cook.
Okay, so on paper, that sounds like a standard rom-com. Boy meets boy hires boy, you know the rest. So why did this specific show blow up? Why are we analyzing it as, like, cultural commentary?
Because it's deceptively smart. We're going to unpack how it uses meta humor, really specific visual symbolism, and some surprising psychological depth to basically deconstruct the entire concept of the Thai soap opera, or licorne.
I've heard that term, lacorne. That's the general name for Thai TV dramas, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Think high melodrama, very specific cliches, evil mothers, dramatic rain scenes, all of that. Me and T takes those elements and just turns them completely inside out.
Okay, so let's start with the characters, because from the clips I've seen, this guy T is a lot. He's not a typical romantic lead.
He is not. Tirakit Tikianli. He is loud. He is over the top. He dresses like he's on a Milan runway just to, sit in his office.
And the actor, Naravit, is that his usual kind of role? I feel like I've seen him in stuff where he's way more serious.
That's what's so interesting. If you followed Pun's career, he's always the cool, brooding type, the serious guy. Seeing him play this completely unhinged comedic character was a total shock for the fans. He's just flailing and screaming. It's completely socially inept.
But you mentioned psychological depth. So is he just acting crazy for laughs, or is there something more going on?
There is a very specific reason. The sources point out that T sees the world entirely through the lens of old-school Thai dramas. He speaks in monologues. He expects background music to swell when he enters a room.
So he's basically performing his own life.
Yes. And the psychological profile we can kind of build from that suggests it's a defense mechanism. I mean, remember, his father was an arms trafficking mafia boss.
That's heavy.
Very. He had this really strict, emotionally cold upbringing. So all the flamboyant fashion, the drama, it's all psychological armor. If he treats life like a TV show, he doesn't have to deal with the messy reality of his trauma.
Wow. That's actually really sad. It's like, if I'm just a character in a script, nothing real can actually hurt me.
That's it, exactly. And there's another layer the show explores, which is his attachment style. The analysis calls it disorganized attachment.
Okay, for those of us who skip Psych 101, what does that look like here?
It means he desperately wants connection, but at the same time, he's terrified of it. He pulls people in and then pushes them away as soon as they get too close.
Is that where the germophobia fits in?
Yes. The show uses his germophobia as a metaphor. He sees real, messy human intimacy as a kind of contamination. He wants the clean, perfect romance he sees on TV, not the unpredictable reality of an actual person.
Until he meets Peach.
Until he meets Peach. Peach Irat.
Okay, so let's talk about him. If T is all chaos, who is Peach?
Peach is the antidote. He's the complete opposite. He's an introverted photographer. He's very responsible. He had to raise his younger sister by himself. He grew up fast. The sources describe him as operating at a low emotional frequency.
A low frequency.
Yeah.
What does that mean for his personality?
It just means he's calm, he's steady, he's unflackable. In the show, his ex-partners actually call him boring.
But boring is probably exactly what a guy like T needs.
Precisely. It's a classic sun and moon dynamic. T is this loud, blinding sun, and Peach is the cool, reflective moon. But critically, to T, Peach represents cleanliness, not just physically, but emotionally. Peach is safe.
The anchor.
He's the anchor that stops T from just floating away into his own delusions.
So you've got this chaotic force meeting an immovable object. I want to look at how that actually plays out in the story, because it seems like the show is broken into these really distinct phases.
It is. Phase 1, which is episodes 1 to 4, is what we can call the romance coach arc. This is where the satire is at its peak.
This is the really funny part.
Yes. This is T trying to use all these Lacorn moves in real life. For example, you know the trope where someone trips and falls and they land perfectly in the other person's arms? Maybe they even accidentally kiss.
The accidental gravity trope. It defies physics in every rom-com ever.
Right. Well, T tries to engineer that. He literally tries to stage a trip and fall to impress the model, and the show just plays it realistically. In real life, when you lunge at someone, they don't kiss you, they fall down. It's a total failure.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's just holding up a mirror to how absurd our media can be.
It is, but the turning point is episode 2, Black and White. That's where the comedy starts to pivot, and T realizes his lessons with Peach are becoming more important than his actual goal.
Which brings us to phase 2, the vulnerability arc, episodes 5 to 7.
This is where the show really grabbed people. It stops being just a parody and it becomes a deep character study. The key moment is in episode 7 when they visit an orphanage.
Why an orphanage? Is that another trope?
It can be, but here it has a real purpose. It's where Peach reveals his backstory about raising his sister, and it forces T to drop the act. He realizes he can't protect Peach with a dramatic speech or by throwing money around. He has to offer real, quiet, emotional support.
And speaking of respect, I saw so many reviews praising the show's handling of consent. Why was that such a big deal for critics? Shouldn't that just be the standard?
You'd hope so, but historically the genre, and especially older Lacorns, has a history of, let's say, forceful romance. Wrist-grabbing, stolen kisses, that kind of thing framed as passion.
Ah, okay. I see. So me and T flip that.
Completely. Even though Tease is this over-the-top character, critics pointed out he always asks before physical intimacy. It's a really crucial detail. It shows that underneath all the madness, he respects Peach's autonomy. It grounds them in a healthy reality.
That's a great touch. So moving on, we hit the final stretch. Phase 3, the integration arc. Now, usually this is where you get the big dramatic breakup, right?
Correct. The big misunderstanding, someone's crying in the rain, the sad montage. Me and T skips the third act breakup completely.
No breakup, really. That's almost unheard of.
No breakup. Instead, it moves straight into domesticity. The conflict isn't will they or won't they anymore, it's how do we actually build a life together.
And they really do. The notes say they get married and adopt kids.
2 children, Mork and Marn. And that ending is so significant. The show is arguing that the ultimate happiness isn't some grand gesture, it's the mundane reality of parenting. Diaper changes and school runs. That's the happy ending T never knew he wanted. He thought he wanted a movie, but what he needed was a home video.
That's really beautiful. But we have to talk about the finale, episode 10. This is where the meta stuff just went completely nuclear.
The GMMTV twist.
Yes. Okay, explain this to me because it sounds absolutely wild.
Okay, so in the real world, the show is made by a company called GMMTV. They are the biggest player in Thai series production, an absolute titan.
Got it. GMMTV Real Studio.
Right. So in the finale, T, the billionaire character, literally buys the television network, and he renames it GMMTV.
Wait, he buys the actual company that makes the show he's in?
In the show's universe, yes. And then you have these cameos from real-world GMMTV actors, Gemini, Fourth, Win Meta Win, appearing as themselves, interacting with the character D.
My brain hurts a little. That's just a dizzying level of meta comedy.
It's brilliant. But if we dig a little, the sources suggest it's more than just a joke. It's a critique of the commercialization of romance itself. Well, think about it. T literally buys the industry that sold him his delusions in the first place. He commodifies the very network that created the tropes he used to live by. It forces you, the audience, to think about the business of love stories.
That's surprisingly deep for a scene that was probably hilarious. And the show communicated all this through its visuals, too. I was reading about the cinematography. The lighting was practically its own character.
Absolutely. It was a visual language. Whenever we're in T's world, it's all high saturation, neon lights, and these things called Dutch angles.
Quick definition on Dutch angle.
It's where the camera is tilted so the horizon isn't level. It creates a feeling of unease, of chaos. It makes everything feel like a comic book panel.
So T's world is literally off-kilter.
Exactly. But Peach's world is shot with macro lenses, super close-up, with candid angles and soft, natural light. It feels real, intimate.
And by the end, those two styles come together.
They do. In the final episode, everything is lit in golden hour. It's this beautiful blend of T's warmth and Peach's naturalism, symbolizing that their worlds have finally merged.
I also have to ask about the safety pin.
Yeah.
Fans were apparently obsessed with this detail.
Yes, the safety pin. It's this recurring motif that represents holding things together. Both of them are broken in their own ways. T wears this expensive, diamond-studded safety pin jewelry as a fashion statement.
Right.
But Peach uses actual, practical safety pins to mend things. It's a symbol of their shared trauma and how they learn to fix themselves first apart and then together.
It's those little details that make a show stick with you. But let's talk about the supporting cast, because in these big shows, the side couples are often huge fan favorites.
The reception was a bit mixed, honestly. You had Moke and Rome. Moke is T's bodyguard. Rome is this mysterious brother figure, the classic bodyguard and brother trope.
Let me guess. Stoic, silent, lots of intense staring across rooms.
You know the genre well. Yes, they were the slow burn to the main couple's wildfire. Very subtle chemistry. But some fans felt their ending was too open-ended. They wanted a big, definitive moment.
I get that. Sometimes you just want the payoff. And then there were the rival models, Tawan and Aaron.
That was the toxic couple. The criticism there was that their reconciliation felt rushed. They went from enemies to basically happily ever after way too quickly in the finale.
That seems to be a recurring theme in the reviews, the pacing of that last episode.
It's the main con, you see. The finale just crammed a proposal, a wedding, and an adoption into 1 hour. It was breathless.
A happy pill you have to swallow really, really fast.
Exactly. And, there was some intrusive product placement, which is pretty standard for Thai dramas, but the overwhelming consensus was positive. The lead chemistry and the rooftop proposal song were seen as total highlights.
I did see one interesting critique about Peach's character, though. Some reviewers felt he became a little wooden in the later episodes.
That's a great point. It sparked a debate online. You could argue it's just, a performance choice that didn't land, or you could argue it's consistent with his character. As T becomes more grounded, Peach's job as the straight man is kind of over. He doesn't need to react to the chaos anymore. But I can see why viewers might have felt the energy dip a bit.
It's the happy couple curse.
Yeah.
Happiness is sometimes just less entertaining to watch than conflict. Now, the show just ended, but the Me and T universe is already expanding.
Oh yeah, the industry moves fast. A week after the finale, they dropped a vertical short drama.
Vertical, like shot for a phone.
Exactly, like for TikTok. It's called TNT. Get a grip, Coon T. And the plot is just wild. T gets trapped in an AI-driven fictional world.
Of course he does. That is incredibly on brand for him.
It leans even harder into the meta stuff. And they've already announced a sequel project, Peach and Me, and a prequel novel for the side couple. Calm down, Mr. Rome.
It's a whole franchise now.
It really is. It shows these characters have gone from just roles to, actual intellectual property.
So to pull this all together, what's the big takeaway? Why did 8 million people lose their minds over this show?
I think Me and T will be remembered because it respected its audience's intelligence. It took all the tropes we know and love, the mafia air, the accidental fall, and it turned them inside out. It didn't just play the hits, it remixed them.
It's like it said to the audience, we know that you know this is all fake, so let's have fun with how fake it is and then find something real underneath all of it.
Precisely. It argued that real love isn't a script. It's candid. It's what happens after the cameras stop rolling.
That's a really great way to put it. Before we sign off, I just want to leave our listeners with a final thought on that GMMTV ending. When T buys the network, is that the ultimate romantic gesture? Or is it a cynical reminder that in the end, everything, even our love stories, is just a product to be bought and sold?
That is the question, isn't it? Does the meta-commentary undermine the romance, or does their choice to go home and change diapers become even more powerful because they're choosing reality over the product?
I think I know my answer, but I'll let you decide for yourselves. Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. It really helps the channel grow. See you in the next one.